We are live.
Yay! It is Friday. Sorry about Wednesday. I had a little medicine mishap that threw me out of whack, so I do apologize for that. I am Old New Dude. He is
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
Sanjay. Congratulations on being first today. As I said, Lizzie's not going to be happy about that, but it's okay. Uh, this is a Clash of Kings Davos 2. It's a very important chapter with quite a bit of stuff in it. Um, if you've watched any of these, you know we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard. He will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. And granted, I've said that probably over 100 times, but I do not say it in my sleep, so it's not happened yet. But yeah, I agree, Sanjay. This is a really good chapter. So take it away, Richard.
Yes, in this chapter, the king will have his fire sorcerer advisor kill an honorable man expecting to face his champion. Sir Courtenay Penrose wore no armor. He sat a sorrel stallion, his standard bearer a dapple gray. Above them flapped Baratheon's crowned stag and the crossed quills of Penrose, white on a russet field. Sir Courtenay's spade-shaped beard was russet as well, though he'd gone wholly bald on top. If the size and splendor of the king's party impressed him, it did not show on that weathered face. They trotted up with much clinking of chain and rattle of plate. Even Davos wore mail, though he could not have said why. His shoulders and lower back ached from the unaccustomed weight. It made him feel cumbered and foolish, and he wondered once more why he was here. It's not for me to question the king's commands, and yet. Every man of the party was of better birth and higher station than Davos Seaworth, and the great lords glittered in the morning sun. Silvered steel and gold inlay brightened their armor, and their war helms were crested in a riot of silken plumes, feathers, and cunningly wrought heraldic beasts with gemstone eyes. That kind of reminds me of the Empire of the Dawn right there. Anyway, Stannis himself looked out of place in this rich and royal company. Like Davos, the king was plainly garbed in wool and boiled leather, though the circlet of red gold about his temples lent him a certain grandeur. Sunlight flashed off its flame-shaped points whenever he moved his head. So LML would probably say that crowns always represent the sun, and it's kind of emphasized here, right, with the sunlight flashing off of it like that.
Yeah. Get Lizzie. What'd she say?
Lizzie is driving. I'm coming for you. This is her son. I'm just typing for her. Hi, everyone. Hello.
Drive careful, Lizzie.
The king was often occupied, Davos learned from his son Devon, one of the royal squires. Now that Stannis Baratheon had come into his power, the lordings buzzed around him like flies around a corpse. He looks half a corpse, too, years older than when I left Dragonstone. Devon said the king scarcely slept of late. Since Lord Renly died, he's been troubled by terrible nightmares, the boy had confided to his father. Maester's potions do not touch them. Only the Lady Melisandre can soothe him to sleep. Is that why she shares his pavilion now? Davos wondered. To pray with him? Or does she have another way to soothe him to sleep? Those Baratheon brothers and their prayers.
Yeah, and also the references to him looking like a corpse, being a corpse, and all that. I mean, the foreshadowing of what he's representing in the story is
right. We're gonna. I mean, since he's the wielder of Lightbringer, he's clearly a Azor Ahai figure, right? And he's definitely going to be. They're specifically going to refer to the people following him as the others and stuff in this chapter.
Right. But instead of him being more like Azor Ahai, the references usually put him more like the Night King.
Right, but
King. Yeah.
But then the question is, are those in fact the same person, right?
Yeah.
Lizzie says no.
I think they are.
I'm not sure what Lizzie means by saying no, but anyway. So George loves ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
Davos had almost forgotten how high and thick the walls of Storm's End loomed up close. King Stannis halted beneath them, a few feet from Sir Courtenay and his standard bearer. Sir, he said with stiff courtesy. He made no move to dismount. My lord, that was less courteous, but not unexpected. It is customary to grant a king the style your grace, announced Lord Florent. A red gold fox poked its shining snout out from his breastplate through a circle of lapis lazuli flowers. Very tall, very courtly, and very rich, the Lord of Brightwater Keep had been the first of Renly's bannermen to declare for Stannis, and the first to renounce his old gods and take up the Lord of Light. Stannis had left his queen on Dragonstone along with her uncle Axel, but the queen's men were more numerous and powerful than ever, and Alistair Florent was the foremost. Sir Courtenay Penrose ignored him, preferring to address Stannis. This is a notable company. The great lords Estermont, Earl, and Varner, Sir John of the Green Apple Fossways and Sir Brian of the Red, Lord Caron and Sir Giard of King Renly's Rainbow Guard, and the puissant Lord Alistair Florent of Brightwater, to be sure. Is that your onion knight I spy to the rear? Well met, Sir Davos. I fear I do not know the lady. I am named Melisandre, sir. She alone came unarmored, but for her flowing red robes. At her throat the great ruby drank the daylight. I serve your king and the Lord of Light. I wish you well of them, my ladies, Sir Courtenay answered, but I bow to other gods and a different king. There is but one true king and one true God, announced Lord Florent. Are we here to dispute theology, my lord? Had I known, I would have brought a septon. You know full well why we are here, said Stannis. You've had a fortnight to consider my offer. You sent your ravens. No help has come, nor will it. Storm's End stands alone, and I am out of patience. One last time, sir, I command you to open your gates and deliver me that which is mine by rights. And the terms, asked Sir Courtenay. Remain as before, said Stannis. I will pardon you for your treason, as I have pardoned these lords you see behind me. The men of your garrison will be free to enter my service or to return unmolested to their homes. You may keep your weapons and as much property as a man can carry. I require your horses and pack animals, however. And what of Edric Storm? My brother's bastard must be surrendered to me. Then my answer is still no, my lord. The king clenched his jaw. He said nothing. Melisandre spoke instead. May the Lord of Light protect you in your darkness, Sir Courtenay. May the others bugger your Lord of Light, Penrose spat back, and wipe his arse with that rag you bear. Lord Alistair Florent cleared his throat. Sir Courtenay, mind your tongue. His grace means the boy no harm. The child is his own blood and mine as well. My niece Delena was the mother, as all men know. If you will not trust the king, trust to me. You know me for a man of honor. I know you for a man of ambition, Sir Courtenay broke in. A man who changes kings and gods the way I change my boots. As to these other turncloaks I see before me. An angry clamor went up from the king's men. He is not far wrong, Davos thought. Only a short time before, the Fossaways, Geared Morrigan, and the lords Caron, Varner, Errol, and Estermont had all belonged to Renly. They had sat in his pavilion, helped him make his battle plans, plotted how Stannis might be brought low, and Lord Florent had been with them. He might be Queen Salisa's own uncle, but that had not kept the Lord of Brightwater from bending his knee to Renly when Renly's star was rising. Bryce Caron walked his horse forward a few paces, his long rainbow-striped cloak twisting in the wind off the bay. No man here is a turncloak, sir. My fealty belongs to Storm's End, and King Stannis is its rightful lord, and our true king. He's the last of House Baratheon, Robert's heir and Renly's. If that is so, why is the Knight of Flowers not among you? And where is Mathis Rowan, Randall Tarley, Lady Oakhart? Why are they not here in your company, they who love Renly best? Where is Brienne of Tarth, I ask you? That one?
Before you get going, they came over from Renly. Dude was one of Renly's rainbow cloaks. Why would Stannis let him keep that rainbow cloak?
I don't. Maybe he's for this exact purpose, so he'll be recognizable to Courtenay.
Penrose?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That's my best guess.
Yeah. I agree.
That one, Sir Geared Morrigan laughed harshly. She ran, as well she might. Hers was the hand that slew the king. A lie, Sir Courtenay said. I knew Brienne when she was no more than a girl playing at her father's feet in Evenfall Hall, and I knew her still better when the Evenstar sent her here to Storm's End. She loved Renly Baratheon from the first moment she laid eyes on him. A blind man could see it. To be sure, declared Lord Florent airily, and she would scarcely be the first maid maddened to murder by a man who spurned her. Though for my own part, I believe it was Lady Stark who slew the king. She had journeyed all the way from Riverrun to plead for an alliance, and Renly had refused her. No doubt she saw him as a danger to her son, and so removed him. It was Brienne, insisted Lord Caron. Sir Emmon Kai swore as much before he died. You have my oath on that, Sir Courtenay. Contempt thickened Sir Courtenay's voice. And what is that worth? You wear your cloak of many colors, I see, the one Renly gave you when you swore your oath to protect him. If he's dead, how is it you are not? He turned his scorn on Geared Morrigan. I might ask the same of you, sir. Geared the Green, yes, of the Rainbow Guard, sworn to give his own life for his kings. If I had such a cloak, I would be ashamed to wear it. Morgan bristled. Be glad this is a parley, Penrose, or I would have your tongue for those words. I'm Team Penrose. Stannis, keep your grubby mitts off Edric. Exactly.
I agree, Sanji.
And cast it in the same fire where you left your manhood?
I like
Enough.
Penrose.
Yes, yes. Enough, Stannis said. The Lord of Light willed that my brother die for his treason. Who did the deed matters not. Not to you, perhaps, said Sir Courtenay. I have heard your proposal, Lord Stannis. Now here is mine. He pulled off his glove and flung it full in the king's face. Single combat, sword, lance, or any weapon you care to name. Or if you fear to hazard your magic sword and royal skin against an old man, name you a champion and I shall do the same. Gave Gear Morgan and Bryce Caron a scathing look. Either of these pups would do nicely, I should think. Sir Guy Morgan grew dark with fury. I will take up the gage if it please the king. As would I, Bryce Caron looked at Stannis. The king ground his teeth. No. Sir Courtenay did not seem surprised. Is it the justice of your cause you doubt, my lord, or the strength of your arm? Are you afraid I'll piss on your burning sword and put it out? Do you take me for an utter fool, sir? Asked Stannis. I have 20,000 men. You are besieged by land and sea. Why would I choose single combat when my eventual victory is certain? King pointed a finger at him. I give you fair warning. If you force me to take my castle by storm, you may expect no mercy. I will hang you for traitors, every one of you. As the gods will it, bring on your storm, my lord, and recall, if you do, the name of this castle. Sir Courtenay gave a pull on his reins and rode back toward the gate. Gotta love Courtenay.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I love how he knows who really loved Renly.
Yeah.
Penrose for president, says Lizzie. What a boss moment. Yep. The others followed. If we storm these walls, thousands will die, fretted ancient Lord Estermont, who was the king's grandfather on his mother's side. Better to hazard but a single life, surely? Our cause is righteous, so the gods must surely bless our champion's arms with victory. God, old man, thought Davos, you forget we have only one now, Melisandre's Lord of Light. It is always interesting to keep your eyes open for who worships one god or many.
Yeah, they have that Freudian slip when they speak.
Yep, as does Theon, of course.
Of course.
Sir John Fossaway said, I would gladly take this challenge myself, though I'm not half the swordsman Lord Caron is, or Sir Geard. Renly left no notable knights at Storm's End. Garrison duty is for old men and green boys, Lord Caron agreed. An easy victory, to be sure, and what glory to win Storm's End with a single stroke. The odds of victory are pretty good here if he does name a champion. Maybe not Arthur Dayne, Jaime Lannister, or Barristan Selmy against Rickard Stark good, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And I say that because, of course, that's the logical comparison, right? Is you've got an honorable man that we kind of care about who's expecting to face a champion, and instead a fire sorcerer advisor is going to be sent to kill him.
Yeah.
It does feel like Arthur Dayne against Stark would not have been a very big risk anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stannis raked them all with a look. You chatter like magpies, and with less sense, I will have quiet. The king's eyes fell on Davos. Sir, ride with me. He spurred his horse away from his followers. Only Melisandre kept pace, bearing the great standard of the fiery heart of the crowned stag within, as if it had been swallowed whole. Davos saw the looks that passed between the lordings as he rode past them to join the king. These were no onion knights, but proud men from houses whose names were old in honor. Somehow he knew that Renly had never chided them in such a fashion. The youngest of the Baratheon brothers had been born with a gift for easy courtesy that his brother sadly lacked. He eased back to a slow trot when his horse came up beside the king's. Your Grace. Seen at close hand, Stannis looked worse than Davos had realized from afar. His face had grown haggard, and he had dark circles under his eyes. A smuggler must be a fair judge of men, the king said. What do you make of this Sir Courtenay Penrose? A stubborn man, said Davos carefully. Hungry for death, I call it. He throws my pardon in my face. Aye, and throws his life away in the bargain and the lives of every man inside those walls. Single combat? The king snorted in derision. No doubt he mistook me for Robert. More like he was desperate. What other hope does he have? None. The castle will fall, but how to do it quickly? Stannis brooded on that for a moment. Under the steady clop-clop of hooves, Davos could hear the faint sound of the king's grinding his teeth. Lord Alistair urges me to bring old Lord Penrose here. Sir Courtenay's father. You know the man, I believe. When I came as your envoy, Lord Penrose received me more courteously than most, Davos said. He's an old done man, sire, sickly and failing. Florin would have him fail more visibly in his son's sight with a noose about his neck. Sounds very much like the phrase.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It was dangerous to oppose the Queen's men, but Davos had vowed always to tell his king the truth. I think that would be ill done, my liege. Sir Courtenay will watch his father die before he would ever betray his trust. It will gain us nothing and bring dishonor to our cause. What dishonor? Stannis bristled. Would you have me spare the lives of traitors? You spared the lives of those behind us. Do you scold me for that, smuggler? It is not my place. Davos feared he had said too much. The king was relentless. You esteem this Penrose more than you do my lord's bannerman. Why? He keeps faith. A misplaced faith in a dead usurper. Yes, Davos admitted, but still, he keeps faith. As those behind us do not, Davos had come too far with Stannis to play coy now. Last year they were Robert's men. A moon ago they were Renly's. This morning they are yours. Whose will they be on the morrow? And Stannis laughed. A sudden gust, rough and full of scorn. I told you, Melisandre, he said to the Red Woman. My onion knight tells me the truth. I see you know him well, your grace, the Red Woman said. Davos, I have missed you sorely, the king said. I have a tale of traitors. Your nose does not deceive you. My lord's bannermen are inconstant even in their treasons. I need them, but you should know how it sickens me to pardon such as these when I have punished better men for lesser crimes. You have every right to reproach me, Sir Davos. You reproach yourself more than I ever could, your grace. You must have these great lords to win your throne. Fingers and all, it seems, Stannis smiled grimly. Unthinking, Davos raised his maimed hand to the pouch at his throat and felt the finger bones within. Luck. The king saw the motion. Are they still there, Onion Knight? You have not lost them? No. Why do you keep them? I've often wondered. They remind me of what I was, where I came from. They remind me of your justice, my liege. It was justice, Stannis said. A good act does not wash out the bad, nor a bad act the good. Each should have its own reward. You are a hero and a smuggler. He glanced behind at Lord Florent and the others, rainbow knights and turncloaks, who were following at a distance. These pardoned lords would do well to reflect on that. Good men and true will fight for Joffrey, wrongly believing him the true king. A Northman might even say the same of Robb Stark. But these lords who flocked to my brother's banners knew him for a usurper. They turned their backs on their rightful king for no better reason than dreams of power and glory, and I've marked them for what they are. Pardoned them, yes. Forgiven, but not forgotten. He fell silent for a moment, brooding on his plans for justice, and then abruptly he said, What do the small folks say of Renly's death? They grieve. Your brother was well loved. Fools love a fool, grumbled Stannis, but I grieve for him as well. For the boy he was, not the man he grew to be. He was silent for a time, and then he said, How did the commons take the news of Cersei's incest? While we were among them, they shouted for King Stannis. I cannot speak for what they said once we had sailed. So you do not think they believed? When I was smuggling, I learned that some men believe everything and some nothing. We met both sorts. And there's another tale being spread as well. Yes, Stannis bit off the word. Selyse has given me horns and tied a fool's bells to the end of each. My daughter fathered by a half-wit jester. The tale is vile as it is absurd. Renly threw it in my teeth when we met to parley. You would need to be as mad as Patchface to believe such a thing. That may be so, my liege. Whether they believe the story or no, they delight to tell it. In many places it had come before them, poisoning the well for their own true tale. Robert could piss in a cup and men would call it wine, but I offer them pure cold water and they squint in suspicion and mutter to each other about how queer it tastes. Stannis ground his teeth. If someone said I had magicked myself into a boar to kill Robert, likely they would believe that as well. I do wonder if King Bran the Bastard did exactly that.
I was getting ready to say that. George likes to throw little hints here and there.
Uh-huh.
So I strongly believe that there was somebody in the boar that killed Robert.
Yep. So
it could even have been Littlefinger.
It was the world's dumbest murder plot. Anyway.
Yeah.
You cannot stop them talking, my liege, Davos said. But when you take your vengeance on your brother's true killers, the realm will know such tales for lies. Stannis only seemed to half hear him. I have no doubt that Cersei had a hand in Robert's death. I will have justice for him, aye, and for Ned Stark and Jon Arryn as well. And for Renly, the words were out before Davos could stop to consider them. So that sounds like potential divine intervention, although it's hard to see it accomplishing much.
Yeah.
Maybe it continues to raise Stannis' opinion of Davos as a truth teller. I don't know.
Either that or the images and what it brings out in Stannis's mind when he asked that question.
Mhm.
Was it for a desired response from Stannis? I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess we should pay attention to this response then, as whether it might be desirable.
Yeah.
For a long time, the king did not speak. Then, very softly, he said, I dream of it sometimes, of Renly's dying, a green tent, candles, a woman screaming, and blood. Stannis looked down at his hands. I was still abed when he died. Your Devon will tell you. He tried to wake me. Dawn was nigh, and my lords were waiting, fretting. I should have been a horse, armored. I knew Renly would attack at break of day. Devon says I thrashed and cried out, but what does it matter? It was a dream. I was in my tent when Renly died, and when I woke, my hands were clean.
Um,
That's
what
very
was
Lady Macbeth there.
what if the desired response was to get Stannis to say that, and eventually Davos puts two and two together that Stannis is the Shadow Baby, or the Shadow Baby is part of Stannis type
Yeah,
situation.
it lets Davos see what how Stannis
And Melisandre.
perceives these
Yeah,
killings, right?
right.
Yeah, so maybe it is important. Sir Davos Seaworth could feel his phantom fingertips start to itch. Something is wrong here, the one-time smuggler thought. Yet he nodded and said, I see. So, like you said, this is kind of where he's starting to think about this and realize that Stannis is involved in the magic, basically.
Right.
Renly offered me a peach at our parley, mocked me, defied me, threatened me, and offered me a peach. I thought he was drawing a blade and went for mine own. Was that his purpose to make me show fear? Or was it one of his pointless jests? When he spoke of how sweet the peach was, did his words have some hidden meaning? King gave a shake of his head, like a dog shaking a rabbit to snap its neck. Only Renly could vex me so with a piece of fruit. He brought his doom on himself with his treason, but I did love him, Davos. I know that now. I swear I will go to my grave thinking of my brother's peach. So even though this kind of points towards Brienne or Loras and Brienne's triple vow, I
Yeah.
still like Davos or Devon for Stannis because the Seaworth better fit the pattern of betrayal by sworn swords and king's guards that we see.
Right.
So either Devon or Davos would make more sense to me.
Either the person that kills him is going to mention the peach, or Stannis himself will talk of the peach right before he's killed, or think about it.
I have a very funny story of a dog shaking a rabbit to snap its neck, but I think we'll be way off topic. So you can maybe you can ask me at the end.
Okay.
Anyway, Stannis reined up long enough to bark a brusque dismissal to Lord Florent and the others, commanding them to attend him in his pavilion 1 hour hence for a council of war. It's amazing how often we're told that they're the others that are following him here in this chapter. But anyway, once again, the wielder of Lightbringer is commanding the others. Stannis took off his crown and handed it to Devon. Cold water, cups for two. Davos, attend me. My lady, I shall send for you when I require you. As the king commands, Melisandre bowed. One day I may make you a lord, smuggler, if only to irk Celtigar and Florent. You will not thank me, though. It will mean you must suffer through these councils and feign interest in the brain of mules. Why do you have them if they serve no purpose? The mules love the sound of their own brain. Why else? And I need them to haul my cart. Oh, to be sure, once in a great while some useful notion is put forth, but not today, I think. Ah, here's your son with our water. Devon set the tray on the table and filled 2 clay cups. The king sprinkled a pinch of salt in his cup before he drank. Davos took his water straight, wishing it were wine. You were speaking of your council? So it's interesting that Stannis drinks salt water. It's almost as if he's ironborn.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how it will go. Lord Valerian will urge me to storm the castle walls at first light, grapnels and scaling ladders against arrows and boiling oil. The young mules will think this a splendid notion. Estermont will favor settling down to starve them out, as Tyrell and Redwine once tried with me. That might take a year, but old mules are patient. And Lord Karen and the others who like to kick will want to take up Sir Courtenay's gauntlet and hazard all upon a single combat, each one imagining he will be my champion and win undying fame. King finished his water. What would you have me do, smuggler? This is just a salty bitch is all. Davos considered a moment before he answered. Strike for King's Landing at once. The king snorted. And leave Storm's End untaken? Sir Crichton does not have the power to harm you. The Lannisters do. A siege would take too long, single combat is too chancy, and an assault would cost thousands of lives with no certainty of success. And there's no need. Once you dethrone Joffrey, this castle must come to you with all the rest. It is said about the camp that Lord Tywin Lannister rushes west to rescue Lannisport from the vengeance of the Northmen. I do think he could have taken King's Landing if if he'd just been a moment sooner, he would have been inside the walls when Tywin got there instead of outside.
If he'd have listened to
Davos.
Yeah.
Yep. You have a passing clever father, Devon, the king told the boy standing by his elbow. He makes me wish I had more smugglers in my service and fewer lords. Though you are wrong in one respect, Davos, there is a need. If I leave Storm's End untaken in my rear, it will be said I was defeated here. That I cannot permit. Men do not love me as they love my brothers. They follow me because they fear me, and defeat is death to fear. The castle must fall. His jaw ground side to side. Aye, and quickly. Duran Martell has called his banners and fortified the mountain passes. His Dornishmen are poised to sweep down onto the marches, and Highgarden is far from spent. My brother left the greater part of his power at Bitterbridge, near 60,000 foot. I sent my wife's brother, Sir Errol, with Sir Parman Crane to take them under my command. They have not returned. I fear that Sir Loras Tyrell reached Bitterbridge before my envoys took that host for his own. All the more reason to take King's Landing as soon as we may. Salladhor Saan told me. Salladhor Saan thinks only of gold, Stannis exploded. And by the way, this is absolutely true, right? That's part of, Loras and that host is part of the reason why Tywin is going to be successful, and part of the reason why the timing is what it is. And it is indeed all the more reason that they have to head to King's Landing with haste.
Right.
Salladhor Saan thinks only of gold, Stannis exploded. His head is full of dreams of the treasure he fancies lies under the Red Keep. So let us hear no more of Salladhor Saan. The day I need military counsel from a Lysine brigand is the day I put off my crown and take the black. Yeah, there's some foreshadowing, potentially.
Yeah.
The king made a fist. Are you here to serve me, smuggler, or to vex me with arguments? So yeah, the people have often used that as indication that he would be the potential Lord Commander.
Right.
I am yours, Davos said. Then hear me. Sir Courtenay's lieutenant is cousin to the Fossways. Lord Meadows, a green boy of 20. Should some ill chance strike down Penrose, command of Storm's End would pass to this stripling. His cousins believe he would accept my terms and yield up the castle. I remember another stripling who was given command of Storm's End. He could not have been much more than 20. Lord Meadows is not as stonehead stubborn as I was. Speaking of Azor Ahai being stonehead stubborn, Eldrick Stoneskin just put out his third video. Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah, he put out a third video, and it's specifically talking about all the times that it's sort of foreshadowed that the people who are the Night's Watch and so forth are stone and stone skinned and so forth. And so this stonehead stubborn kind of reminds me of that.
Okay, I'll try to watch it today.
Stubborn or craven, what does it matter? Sir Courtenay Penrose seemed hale and hearty to me. So did my brother the day before his death. The night is dark and full of terrors, Davos. He sure hints as if he knows that how this works. Sir Courtenay will be dead within the day. Melisandre is seated in the flames of the future. His death in the manner of it. He will not die in knightly combat, needless to say. Her flames do not lie. She saw Renly's doom as well. On Dragonstone she saw it and told Selyse. Lord Valerian and your friend Salladhor Saan would have had me sail against Joffrey, but Melisandre told me that if I went to Storm's End, I would win the best part of my brother's power. She was right. But Davos stammered, Lord Renly only came here because you had laid siege to the castle. He was marching toward King's Landing before, against the Lannisters. He would have, Stannis shifted in his seat, frowning. Would have, what is that? He did what he did. He came here with his banners and his peaches to his doom. And it was well for me he did. Melisandre saw another day in her flames as well. A morrow where Renly rode out of the south in his green armor to smash my host beneath the walls of King's Landing. Had I met my brother there, it might have been me who died in place of him. So, anyway. Or you might have joined your strength to his to bring down the Lannisters, Davos protested. Why not that? If she saw two futures, well, both cannot be true. Oh, sweet summer child. King Stannis pointed a finger. Dare you err on your knight? Yes, he does. Some lights cast more than one shadow. Stand before the night fire and you'll see for yourself. The flames shift and dance, never still. The shadows grow tall and short, and every man casts a dozen. Some are fainter than others, that's all. Well, men cast their shadows across the future as well. One shadow or many, Melisandre sees them all. You do not love the woman, I know that, Davos. I am not blind. My lords mislike her too. Estermont thinks the flaming heart ill-chosen and begs to fight beneath the crowned stag as of old. Sir Geard says a woman should not be my standard-bearer. Others whisper that she has no place in my war councils, that I ought to send her back to Asshai. It is sinful to keep her in my tent of the night. Aye, they whisper, while she serves. Serves how? Davos asked, dreading the answer. As needed, the king looked at him. And you? I, Davos licked his lips, am yours to command. What would you have me do? Nothing you've not done before. Only land a boat beneath the castle, unseen in the black of night. Can you do that? Yes. Tonight? The king gave a curt nod. Davos wanted to protest. He was a knight now, no longer a smuggler. He had never been an assassin. And when he opened his mouth, the words would not come. Well, that kind of sounds like intervention.
Yeah.
Davos is smart enough to realize that he's being asked to be an assassin. And as we said, his inability to speak could be hidden fingers.
Yep, without a doubt.
Let Sir Courtney keep the bastard boy, and he may well yield. I must have the boy, Davos. Must. Melisandre has seen that in the flames as well. So what does she see? It can't be Davos proving his independence. So why did she see that he had to have the boy? I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, if she saw that they had to have the boy, then surely she would have saw that the boy gets away. So having the boy doesn't do him any good.
Right. It's weird. You have to wonder what vision was given to her that allowed her to know that she has to have the boy, but not realize that Davos was going to take him.
Was she actually given a vision that they need the boy, or is that what she told Stannis to get Stannis to take the castle?
Yeah, could be.
Another reason to take part of his flame. I don't know.
Yeah. Davos groped for some other answer. Storm's End holds no knight who can match Sir Geard or Lord Caron or any of 100 others sworn to your service. A single combat. Could it be that Sir Courtney seeks for a way to yield with honor, even if it means his own life? A troubled look crossed the king's face like a passing cloud. More like he planned some treachery. There will be no combat of champions. Sir Courtney was dead before he even ever threw that glove. The flames do not lie, Davos. Yet they require me to make them true, he thought. It's been a long time since Davos Seaworth felt so sad. And so it was that he found himself once more crossing Shipbreaker Bay in the dark of night, steering a tiny boat with a black sail. The sky was the same, and the sea, the same salt smell was in the air, and the water chuckling against the hull was just as he remembered it. 1,000 flickering campfires burned around the castle, as the fires of the Tyrells and Redwynes had 16 years before. But all the rest was different. The last time it was life I brought to Storm's End, shaped to look like onions. This time it is death in the shape of Melisandre of Asshai. 16 years ago, the sails had cracked and snapped with every shift of wind, till he pulled them down and gone on with muffled oars. Even so, his heart had been in his gullet. The men on the Redwyne galleys had grown lax after so long, however. They'd slipped through the cordon smooth as black satin. This time, the only ships in sight belonged to Stannis, and the only danger would come from watchers on the castle walls. It does kind of sound like Azor Ahai is leading an attack on the Night's Watch.
Okay.
I can smell the fear on you, Sir Knight, the Red Woman said softly. Someone once told me the night is dark and full of terrors. Tonight I am no knight. Tonight I am Davos the smuggler again. Would that you were an onion, she laughed. Is it me you fear, or what we do? What you do, I have no part of it. Your hand raised the sail. Your hand holds the tiller. So it really does amaze me how many people accuse Barristan of being complicit in the Mad King's crimes, but without blaming Davos or even realizing Stannis is specifically committing the same crimes.
Right.
Like he is so much more complicit. I'm saying we shouldn't love Davos. I think we should love Davos. And we can talk more about this in a second because there's going to be another excuse to bring this up again.
Okay.
Are you a good man, Davos Seaworth? She asked. Would a good man be doing this? I am a man, he said. I'm kind to my wife, but I've known other women. I've tried to be a father to my sons, help make to help make them a place in this world. I have broken laws, but I never felt evil until tonight. I would say my parts are mixed, milady, good and bad. A gray man, she said, neither white nor black, but partaking of both. Is that what you are, Sir Davos? What if I am? It seems to me that most men are gray. If half an onion is black with rot, it is a rotten onion. Man is good or he is evil. This is not how onions work. From Storm Samwell 2. When Craster's wives brought onions, he seized one eagerly. One side was black with rot, but he cut that part off with his dagger and ate the good half raw.
There you go.
So, like George tells us, this is not how onions work. Oh, you speak of men and onions, Davos said to Melisandre. What a woman! Is it not the same for them? Are you good or evil, my lady? I made her chuckle. Oh, good! I am a knight of sorts myself, sweet sir, a champion of light and life. Yet you mean to kill a man tonight, he said, as you killed Maester Cresson. Your maester poisoned himself. He meant to poison me, but I was protected by a greater power, and he was not. And Redley Baratheon? Who was it who killed him? Her head turned. Beneath the shadow of the cowl, her eyes burned like pale red candle flames. Not I. Liar! Davos was certain now. Melisandre laughed again. You are lost in darkness and confusion, Sir Davos. And a good thing, Davos gestured at the distant lights flickering along the walls of Storm's End. Feel how cold the wind is? The guards will huddle close to those torches. A little warmth, a little light. They're a comfort on a night like this. Yet what will blind them? Yet that will blind them, so they will not see us pass, I hope. The god of darkness protects us now, my lady, even you. Speak not that name, sir, lest you draw his black eye upon us. He protects no man, I promise you. He's the enemy of all that lives. It is the torches that hide us. You have said so yourself. Fire, the bright gift of the Lord of Light. It's interesting that she says his black eye, right? It sort of implies that he has one black eye. Either that could be Euron, right, with two different eyes, or one of which is black, or it could be mean that the in her mind the Lord of Darkness has only one eye. Anyway,
Right.
there's certainly lots of one-eye symbolism in the story, so could be.
I wonder what she would say if she saw Tyrion.
Oh yeah, good point. Have it your way, his way rather. Who rode you to Renly? There was no need, she said. He was unprotected, but here, this Storm's End is an old place. There are spells woven into the stones, dark walls, and no shadow can pass, ancient, forgotten, yet still in place. Shadow? That was spelled as flesh prickling. A shadow is a thing of darkness. You are more ignorant than a child, Sir Knight. There are no shadows in the dark. Shadows are the servants of light, the children of fire. The brightest flame casts the darkest shadows. A mouth yawned in the cliff, and it was that Davos steered for, as he had 16 years before. So that kind of reminds me of the Black Gate, this concept of an anthropomorphized mouth, right?
Right.
This is as far as we go, unless you have a man inside to lift the gate for us. And then a light bloomed amidst the darkness. Davos raised a hand to shield his eyes, and his breath caught in his throat. Melisandre had thrown back her cowl and shrugged out of the smothering robe. Beneath she was naked and huge with child. Swollen breasts hung heavy against her chest, and her belly bulged as if near to bursting. Gods preserve us, he whispered, and heard her answering laugh, deep and throaty. Her eyes were hot coals, and the sweat that dappled her skin seemed to glow with a light of its own. Melisandre shone. So dappled skin could be Children of the Forest symbolism, right?
Right. And this is also the only time we see her sweat.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Panting, she squatted and spread her legs. Blood ran down her thighs, black as ink. Her cry might have been agony or ecstasy or both. Davos saw the crown of the child's head push its way out of her. Two arms wriggled free, grasping, black fingers coiling around Melisandre's straining thighs, pushing until the whole of the shadow slid out into the world and rose taller than Davos, tall as a tunnel, towering above the boat. He had only an instant to look at it before it was gone, twisting between the bars of the portcullis and racing across the surface of the water. But that instant was long enough. He knew that shadow, as he knew the man who'd cast it. So Dave says, checking in, my lords. Running errands all day. I'll catch you all on the rewatch. Great to have you,
Appreciate
Dave.
The ecstasy, agony or ecstasy, Nisa
right.
images there.
Right. And that could imply a child of the forest being Nissa.
Nissa, yeah.
What I was saying before was that the onion thing reminds us that these characters are all gray, right? And so my point was Davos is not purely white or purely black. He's mostly white, but
Yeah,
he is a gray man, and that's the point, right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
should accept that about all the characters.
Every single one of them.
Right. People keep denying the evidence in front of them, including Jamie killing Jory, for example.
I've forgotten about that. I mean, I'm on the Jamie boat. Just
I
ask
know, I
me.
know.
I like messing with the clan, giving them hell about Jamie. Um,
Up next is Clash 43, John 5. John joins the White Bull. And I've requested that we move to Tuesday because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make it Monday or Wednesday.
yeah.
So we'll probably do Tuesday.
I still think there should be a way to defeat a shadow baby.
Sure.
Whether you,
Nothing should be perfect. I'd agree.
I mean, if you throw a torch into it, I mean, something. I mean, involving light would have to either that or erase every bit of light in the room and it's pitch black. Does the shadow lose its shadow?
Well, and this is kind of in parallel with you know, our last Danny chapter. We had Quaith marking Danny, right, to be able to come to her with magic, right? And so probably Melisandre needed to see Courtney Penrose. Just remember, she goes to see Renly, and then she kills Renly.
Right.
She
has to physically see the person, so the shadow baby knows what they look like. Right.
Right. So she specifically meets with Renly right before she kills Renly. She specifically meets with Courtney right before she kills Courtney.
Right. Now, if the Shadowbinders from the sky, the theory is they were the lacquer mat, so nobody can see their face, so they can't send the shadow baby after them. The compelling theory is that Melisandre doesn't wear that lacquer mat because she has a glamour on. If it's a glamour, then she chose for that glamour to show her pregnant. So that experience in the cave of her being swollen with a baby.
This is a show put on for Davos, yeah.
This is a show put on for Davos, yes, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay. That just came to me, I don't know why.
No, I agree with you. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for Davos in this chapter.
Okay, you want to hear my silly story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a vet that I like a lot, and you know, the oldest dog now is 13, and when she gets sick, I'm always dreading it, and then my vet is like dirt cheap and really good at figuring out what's wrong and fixing things. Right. But anyway, so my previous dog, when he was about 9, he started like crying out in pain. Like he'd cry out in pain in the middle of the night and then like get up and walk a little bit and lie down, and it seemed like he's fine. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of limping a little bit. I couldn't really tell which of his front legs was bothering him, but it seemed like he was limping, and I'm sure what was going on. So I called up the vet, described those symptoms, right?
Right.
And I go in, and the vet goes, watch this. I'm like, okay. And he takes his front left leg and he shows that he has full range of motion with no pain. He goes, and watch this. And he takes his right leg, does the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, and now watch this. And he takes his nose and he touches it all the way to his body on the left side. Right. He goes, and finally watch this. And he takes it, he goes, won't move to the right at all. And I'm just staring at him like, this is voodoo magic. Like, how did you know this, right? And he goes, that's why I went to school for 6 years. and then he goes, usually when this happens, he goes, usually it's because they've been playing with a stuffed animal. And what they'll do is they'll take the stuffed animal and they'll swing their neck back around as if to snap its neck to kill the stuffed animal. Right. And I laughed and said, oh, you think he pretended to kill a fake animal? Because that day before he started being in pain, he had killed a real animal. So anyway, that was what made me think of it. It's like, anyway, that's
Well, now that you say that, my daughter's Chihuahua, Daisy,
mhm.
um, it, middle of the night or hour before Lindsay goes to bed, you hear yep, 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 and just pick her up. And she's still yep, 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 yep. I mean, you pet her, she stops. You set her down. Her front leg is just kind of limping, and then she won't yelp anymore. But she does this periodically, and we could never figure out why she's doing it. And it's not enough that we took her to the vet. We figured, oh, maybe her nail got caught in the carpet or something, or there's a little split on it. We don't. I mean, but now that you say that, the next time she does that, I'm going to do the nose to the
See
shoulder
if you can
thing,
actually
right?
have full
Because
motion of her
yeah,
neck.
she
Yeah,
has quite a few stuffed animals that she tears up in
yeah,
my daughter's room, so that
yeah.
makes perfect sense. Like light bulb moment.
Yeah. He said
Uh,
another thing, another symptom. Sometimes he's had people with the same problem, with a neck problem, tell
mhm,
him that their dog had a sensitive stomach because they thought that the dog was only bothered when they picked up the dog. Because when you pick
mhm,
up a dog, it can put a little bit more pressure on their neck as you pick them up. And
right.
so he's like a lot of people think that their dog is like having stomach sensitivity issues because when they lift them, that's what bothers them, but it's really their neck
Mhm.
more often
Before
than
we
not.
go, though, I also want to show off Chris the Crow, which he hasn't commented today, so I don't know if he's watching. But he will see it on the rewatch. He got me two books for my birthday: the Feast of Ice and Fire,
The
uh,
cookbook, yeah.
a cookbook, and he got me uh, Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
apparently it's the
And Chris is
behind
here
the
and he's watching.
scenes. Yeah. So I got some reading to do. It was a really good gift.
Cool.
Even if I
Absolutely.
never read them in my life, I'm glad I got them just because they have a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire written on
Sure.
them. So I can
Sure.
put them on the shelf. But the
Right.
cookbook will definitely, I love cooking. The cookbook will definitely get opened up, probably starting this weekend. Um, okay. Hey, Chris. But trying to find a meal that would be easy to do. Um, and then if I do a meal out of the books, I'll let y'all know Tuesday how that
Cool.
went. And then once I start reading the a feast or the fire cannot kill a dragon, I'll let you know how good that book is. Just a small review on it, but
All right. I think
yeah,
I might have bought the Kindle version of that actually.
okay. But yeah, you got anything else?
No, I would say that this John meeting Corin Halfhand chapter, John joins the White Bull. It's pretty short,
Hmm.
so just be aware that it's very short.
Yeah,
The other thing is, my Kindle
I'll
app
look
has
up.
decided my Kindle app's decided that I'm not supposed to copy out of it anymore. But
Right.
I figured a way around that. So unfortunately, my way around that leads to more typos and missing punctuations and things. But I have figured a way around it, which is basically that um, in Android, Pod says I thought Feast of Crows was a cookbook. Or I don't know. It seems like maybe dance has sort of implied that though, right? Like dance has sort of indicated that in fact
Oh, damn.
that 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 may be appropriate for human consumption.
That pod that was freaking awesome.
Anyway, I figured out that in Android, if you go to the task switching view, you can hit select and then you can
Yeah.
copy text out
Well,
of
I mean,
anything.
I had audiobooks. I had bought every book that involves the series Red Woman equal Lion Horror.
Line or
Horror.
horror, yeah, probably horror.
Uh, but I had bought all the books, and I'm like, I didn't download any of the damn things. It was my mistake. So I'm like, I want to go back to trying to listen to the chapters instead of reading them because sometimes with my eyes, reading that many words, it gets really hard to get through some of the chapters. So I'm like,
Okay.
I'll go back to reading them, and then I had canceled my audiobook because it was $14.99 a month. My wife got on to me, so I opened the app back up,
You should get
and
to keep them.
I didn't keep any of them. I have none of them in there. So Lizzie was
Really?
going to let me use her account. Jeff was going to let me. YouTube has all the damn books read by somebody else. My son had found some guy that does the voices. Small Paul was John Wayne in the prologue chapter for what's the next one? Feast for Crow or Storm of Swords? The chapter. So I mean, he does different voices for each character, but some of them are, like I said, Small Paul was John Wayne. But I mean, YouTube has them on there, so I'm like, forget you, audiobooks. I mean, bye bye. So hey, I was pissed that I didn't have none of the books that I picked out. I paid $14.99 a
I
month.
thought Audible was supposed to give you permanent books when you used your credits for things. But anyway,
I went back into my account, reopened it, and there's not a damn thing in there. So forget you, audiobooks. But okay,
you're supposed to. I thought you're supposed to be able to. I think I have some stuff that in Audible. I mean, I don't subscribe, but I think I have some stuff that left over from there. Anyway, all right, weird.
All right. As always on Friday, the weekend's coming up. It's not a long weekend like last weekend, but we do want everybody to be careful. Y'all all are appreciated. And like you said, we will not be here Monday. I've asked him to send me a text to remind me because my memory is that we're not doing it Monday. We're doing it Tuesday. It's going to be. It's a good chapter though. Yeah. But we appreciate you.
We'll definitely have some specific references to Triplet Targaryens episode 6.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's a short chapter, so what I might do is either find something that is attached to that chapter that we can talk to after.
Yeah, we might want to go through all the different times when Jon calls him my lord, right? Well, I think there's only two, but both times. Yeah. We'll find both times when Jon calls him my lord, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about the symbolism and Mithras and so forth.
The parallels with Dunk and the Fiddler. Yeah, and then also might look at a separate theory altogether, a short theory that we can possibly throw in at the end just to fill out a little bit of time.
Cool.
Either something that I might even go back and look at one of my older theories.
Watch the Eldrick Stoneskins, and we can talk about.
We'll talk about
his new video. We'll talk about his new video. Let's do that.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. Well, everybody, please have a good weekend. We appreciate it.
You too, Sanji.
Appreciate it, Sanji. Sanji was first today. Lizzie was driving. So better luck Tuesday, Lizzie. I'm rooting for everybody. Hey, Charles. Happy Friday. All right. Everybody have a good weekend. We will see y'all again on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
If you have any questions on this chapter or anything else, just leave it in the comments, and I'll do my best to catch them. So y'all have good. Lady Thistle, Charles, Sanji, Lizzie, Sir Dave Zilla, Pod with that extremely good joke, which sounded like something Lizzie would say. So that was really good. But
we will be out there on rewatch. Always good to have you here.
Yeah, the Valonqar, man, without a doubt. He's the first that was on the bandwagon. We appreciate him without a doubt. Y'all have a good weekend. Take it easy. Bye, Richard.
Bye.